Hey, how's it going? It's been a while. I been home for a bit, for about a week now, since the eventful events that happened in the last couple of weeks in Ottawa. But hey, I something I was very reminded of is I don't know if you've ever seen the Spider-Man movie where Mysterio shows up, and all the illusions that he creates, and at the end he twists the story to make it look like that Spider-Man was the bad guy and he's the one that ordered the kill on everyone. And so I was just very much reminded of how real that is, and how real that is today, and how I saw it in the last couple of weeks. I couldn't believe it. Like, it was just, I just never thought that people would intentionally twist stories and try to make a lot of money, or to get a lot of views, or to just change the narrative, or just to keep the story the way they want it written, right? And and I see that happening. I saw that happening in Ottawa firsthand. I saw people there. I saw everything going on, and I came home and I saw footage, and I'm like, that was twisted, and stories that were said about it that was just so twisted. I just was blown away. Like, I had some sort of reserve and trust in certain media, but wow, I just lost all trust in it. I just was like blown away. Like, I'm sorry. It's gonna, like, trust is something that has to be earned, and I just, yeah, I don't believe a word that comes out of their mouth anymore. So, and you know what? And I just, next thing, you get this big story about Ukraine and Russia and the sad thing going on right there. I just saw the same thing happen again. I was like, somebody showed me a video. Oh, look at all these things, the war that's going on. And he showed me a video of the explosions and jets flying. And I was like, that's a video game. I like video games, and I watch video game videos sometimes. And I'm like, that's not real. That's a video game. I know that. I recognize that video. And then there was another one and another one. And they were getting thousands and millions of views. And people were just like, wow, I can't believe it. And I'm not denying that the war is real, but I'm just like, people are taking advantage of these crises to get a couple of views, or to make money, or to change their story, or to, because, so sorry, sorry for not trusting what they're all saying, and the stories that people are saying, and why it's happening, and who's the bad guy and who's the good guy, because I'm not there. I'm not involved. So sorry if I don't trust the media telling their stories, and it just, I just had big questions about it right away, because they were all saying the same thing. And then I was like, well, I've heard them say the same thing before, and it was all just lies. And I've seen them do it over and over, not just recently, in the years past. I have spoken to a few people how they were either in a normal family crisis here in Ontario, local, that would something happened, and the media just, wanted to cover it and wanted to put it on the news of the local crisis, and then just how they had it all wrong, like every detail, to where even just the only thing they got right was their names, but the rest, the age and who drove and who did that, was wrong. So, so sorry, I got kids, as you noticed, and if they all of a sudden jump in and make noise, and welcome to my home. And if somebody all of a sudden sounds like they're dying, they're not. They're just being their normal self. So, but I just thought it was interesting how, we watching Spider-Man, and it's just how real that is today. You think that is, it only happens in the movies. Only in the movies they can get that bad, and they can have such a heartless thing that they would do to try to bring out a story that would benefit others, right? But believe it or not, that really happens. That really happens today. And so, but there's one more thing, and the reason I think it is to keep the control, of the story, of their reputation. Money is a big thing, because if the wrong story, or the certain stories could come out, or certain things, it can even affect the economy. It can affect stocks. Certain companies might even, the worth might go down if that story comes out, so they'll change the story, or they'll purposely change the story to crash one company so another company is worth more. Really, it happens. It's a sad truth. and people are just eating it up, like they're just drinking it like everyday Kool-Aid and believing it. And they'll be willing to dump their own family to believe the stories they see on the screen or on their little videos and or on the media. And they'll not even believe their own family that saw things firsthand. So that is sad. But one more thing, I'm excited that a new study that we're going to start, and this is a study I think is come at a very timely thing that just kind of came together, brought to my we've been thinking about it for a while, and I'm excited to start this. And there's just so much good stuff here, and it'll bring so much freedom. And you know what? This is being suppressed, and this is a people that is being suppressed and mistreated in our country today. And you would not believe where it's happening the most. And it's happening within our churches. Within our churches, these people are suppressed and misused and mislabeled and misrepresented and misunderstood. So there's and that people is the women. And believe it or not, I'm going to start talking about women, which is, a lot of people, they want to avoid those topics. They want to avoid those questions and stuff. But did you know that women have been misrepresented for thousands of years and have been suppressed and silenced as second-class citizens or even as low-class citizens? And something I want to address is just how the inequality, you're probably thinking, oh, in these days and age, women we already equal, like they're fighting, they've got the equality, everybody's the same, everybody's getting treated the same. But believe it or not, they're not. And so I'm excited to go into this, and there's so many things that you wouldn't believe that are happening today. And just sometimes you're okay with women teaching kids. You're okay with them leading a small prayer meeting. There's this one woman that shared her story, and she said she started a prayer meeting, and it was just a few women, and then it grew, and some men joined in the prayer meeting. But eventually it came to a pretty decent size. Like, she was influential, people loved it, and the group grew, and it got big. And all of a sudden the elders of the church is like, I don't think she should lead it anymore. I think a man should go step in because the group's getting too big. We need to have a man lead the group now because the group's too big. She can't handle such a big group. Believe it or not, that happens every day right now. It's kind of ridiculous. You'll trust a woman to teach the kids, but dare her say something to a grown man, that is just wrong. Or to teach or lead a man. You will trust, you will climb on a plane and see a woman pilot, and you'll be like, yay, good for you. You're great. You can, I'll trust you fly this complicated machinery and get me to the location safely. But in your home, you won't trust a word she says, or won't trust her leading anything. The only thing you'll trust is the good food she makes, and teach the kids at home and change the diapers. And do it all in a name that's God's perfect plan. And here's a quote by Lee Grady. He says, "For centuries, the church has taught godly women that they must quench the holy fire of God that burns within them. As a result, half the labor force in the church has been sidelined and devalued. And while women have been disqualified from the game and sent to the bench, we men have arrogantly told our sisters in Christ that this is God's perfect plan." Did you know that women make up most percentage of the church attendance today? They pray more, they read more, they're more spiritual than men. They're the ones that will first step out in faith, but yet they get pushed to the side. And we put all the resources and effort to try to get the men in the church, but we do not give attention to the ones that are already in the church. And they can serve in the Sunday school, they can teach the kids, and that's okay. But a pastor can't be a pastor because she might be misleading. That's just such bull. Like, I'm just like blown away. And then there's the statements like, she's more susceptible to deception. because Eve was deceived and, Adam wasn't. So, women will be deceived, so she can't lead. So the men's got to lead. Wow. So these are a lot of things that we want to talk about. And we're going to start with going back in history, a lot of stuff from there, and just a lot of things in the Bible that talk about, how women need to submit to the husband. Wow, that's a big one, eh? And it's going to be some brain cramps. Some men are going to just have to, get off that high horse, and some women need to be enlightened by this. Like, this is not about being disrespectful to men. A lot of people are saying that that if a woman starts speaking out about this stuff, that they're being disrespectful. They shouldn't speak of this stuff. Wow. Like, I think there's a fear of losing control. That's why this has been taught this way for so many years, that they can't be trusted, that they will be deceived, and that the God plan for them is to just be a good wife at home, raise the children. That's the only thing they do. Ask your young daughters at home, what would they want to be in life? Ask them, what would they want to grow up? And they'll say all kinds of stuff. Some might even say, I want to be a fireman. I want to be a mechanic. I want to be a pilot. I want to be an astronaut. I want to do that or this. Or I want to be a housewife. It's all good. And you will be all like, yeah, that's awesome. In theory, you'd be totally okay if they did that. But when it gets down to it in reality, they might have a problem with it, right? So a lot of people are actually, in theory, they'll be okay with a woman pastor, but when it comes to getting to it, no, they won't agree with it because they're afraid of division and conflict in the church. So this is something that I've been thinking about for a while, and this is something that we've talked about in our home, and just to see the equality that Jesus brought and how Jesus treated women. He's the first man that we know in Jewish history to go up to a Samaritan woman of all, not just a Jewish woman, which was forbidden to do, but let alone a Samaritan woman, to go and talk to her and ask her for water, and he gave her she was the first one to have the revelation of where true worship would be. Think about that. Jesus entrusted the revelation of true worship, not in a building on a hill somewhere, not over there, because that's a question. And he revealed it to her, and she was able to pass it on and share it in her town. Why didn't she tell the guys? And there's just so many more stories like that. And so, men throughout history for the last 2,000 years have been trying to reverse that and using scripture to, crack a whip over the women, to control and to quiet them, and all in the name of that. That's God. That's how God has created them to be. And I just want you to substitute something. Substitute something for me. Let's substitute the women for a different word. Let's say that, a handicapped cannot serve in the church, where you think a woman shouldn't be serving in a church, or an immigrant shouldn't be a pastor, or people of color are only created to serve. Now imagine that. I would say, if you say a woman is only created to be one thing, is to serve her husband, and there's crazy ones where they even make the woman make a schedule for the man to please the man, just like she schedules the meal for the family. How about that? That's a little bit, wow. Okay, I won't get into that right now. But anyway, so yeah, stay tuned. We'll have these, I'll try to get these out every once a week. And so I will be getting a lot of these comments and quotes and things that I got out of a book. It's called The Silent Queen by Paul House. It's probably backwards for you. But I recommend you, if you want to look into it more, get that book, read up on it, and just go with an open mind. Because there's so much more that potential that there is in the church, and you know what? We're suppressing that potential because of some of the things that we've held on to for so many years, and so yeah, let's do this and not be deceived.